Good afternoon, everybody. We got Mike in the wings here. Who was first in the chat today? Hand Radio was here. Here it is. It says, Oklahoma. Awesome, man. Welcome. We're gonna be Crusader. Ham Radio Crusader. Ha! You can't hear him yet, but Mike's helping me out. Welcome everybody. We're gonna get started here in a second. We're just letting all the YouTube notifications go through, and just giving a chance for everyone to join. Well, we are going to try this. Let's go ahead and kick this off. I should map this transition button. Does the T work? No. What is going on, everybody? I'm Frank, KG5HJ. Oh man, I didn't turn down the mic. I'm sorry about that, but you know what time it is? It's 6 o'clock on my Sunday to have all of you, and let's just get started. Play that awesome intro video! Wait, I need a hand to click the thing. A quick shout out to all my Patreons who makes the show possible. You can support me by joining Patreon in the link below. And on to Tank Radio! Hey, welcome's going on. I hope y'all had a awesome and amazing last couple of weeks. I'm muted. I'm not muted. No, all the volumes are going right. If I click that, I think it works. Thank you for everyone for joining. I do appreciate it. Let me get the list of rundowns. That's tasks, not the list. Let me start out by saying thank you to everyone who support me on Patreon and YouTube. The links in the description below for go ahead and to support me in the channel. I do really appreciate that. Especially I looked at my taxes and I'm like, that's how much I put in here. Yeah. But thank you to everyone who supports me. I do appreciate it. Buy Me a Beer is active still. The description's in the link below. I don't have it on screen right now. That's something I need to fix for later. There's a Gigaparts link, so you can get 5% off by going to Gigaparts by using my link and clicking on it and using Tank. This is the key thing, Tank at checkout, and you get 5% off on select items, and it helps support me. Thank you very much. And my coins are on sale. I got one here. There's another one running around, but these are awesome, amazing coins that help support the channel. And I swear I just turned on that light. Is my light off? Oh man. It's oh well. I guess I have lights off now, so I need your support even more now. And one last thing, my audio podcasts are coming out every day. Or not every day, but every week on any podcaster app out there. So I'm gonna go and sound looks good to me. I am gonna bring on the one, the awesome, the mighty, the one that knows way much more than I do on batteries. Mike! What is going on, man? How are you doing?
Not so bad. What's going on, man?
I hope you like that little introduction, man. I was like,
It was beautiful.
Yes. Thanks for coming on. Oh, that's one thing I did not dig up here. I'm going over to my Twitter, and our amazing friend this past week got into a devastating accident, and he needs kind of y'all's help a bit here. And I'm going to help promote his GoFundMe page. I'm putting the link in the chat. Scott, Ham Radio for Non-Techies. I'm hoping he's going to get out of the hospital this week. But he got in a bad accident. Some teenager team-bowled him. I'm saying that she's texting or he's texting. That's my 2 cents. But stay off the phones when you're driving. Not he was texting, the other person was texting. But they can use your help. Just run over there, and every dollar and dime does help out. I appreciate it, Scott. Man, can't wait to have you back once you're able. Ah, all right,
Yeah, that
man.
was bad. Yeah, I was talking to him yesterday,
Mhm, mhm,
and he was saying they might actually release him today. I haven't spoken with him today, but
mhm.
he was saying basically depending on how much brain fluid was still leaking out. That sounds really horrible.
That sounds like
I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but my brain's not. Well, I mean, there's not
mhm.
much in here, but yeah. So I don't know, but we wish Scott a speedy recovery.
Yes, yes.
So yes, go donate to
Yeah, he
the.
just got out the other day of surgery. I talked to him Saturday. Yeah, I think it was Saturday, where they
Yeah.
fused his one of his spines and his necks together. And I was talking to him afterwards. He was upbeat. He says no, mobility has not shouldn't change. He should be back to 95% when recovered. The only thing is he can't touch his chin to his chest. And I'm like, you know what? I'm okay with that. If that was me, I'll be okay with
Yeah.
that. Out of
You
all the
say
things
that
that could
now, but when
happen.
you can't touch your chin to your chest anymore, you're
Uh-huh.
like, damn.
Mm-hmm. Yep, yep. Mike, man, I'm brought you on because you built some more battery boxes. That's all you have left behind you? 3? Or is that just a
So actually, I have 4
mm-hmm.
right now, but there's actually only 2 available
Oh,
now
nice.
because I sold was already pre-sold, and then another one just sold last night, and the
Mm-hmm.
shipping company isn't open today, so I got to ship it out tomorrow.
Okay,
So
cool, cool.
there's 2 left,
2 left.
but
Awesome.
you
And
can go to
also,
K8MRD.square.site if you're so inclined.
yes, yes. Um, if I was a good host, I would already had that pre-queued, so when you said that, I would drop it in the chat. Are
Yeah.
you happy to see me, or is that a banana?
Well, so that's a banana and a
Oh,
mouse.
uh-huh.
There's 2 things, but that's the staple of the channel now. You got to have the banana in the shot.
You know, I've been wondering that because it's almost every time I see you on stream now,
Yeah,
it is there.
yeah. It's like, it's just a cat toy, but the smoking ape made a big deal out of it. He's like, "What the hell's on your floor?" And I
Uh-huh.
get a lot of comments about it now. Actually, that, like, just in my last video about the box that I built for Jason, someone was like, "He's like, I'm trying to figure out what the hell's on your floor." So now it has to be there. But
hmm
yeah, it's just a cat toy. Just
Just
banana,
a cat
guys.
cat
As far
toy.
as you know.
Um, my kind of my first question to you is, how did you get started in batteries? What started you on this path? Because you're the battery guru to me.
Uh, I mean, it's basically like Julian OH8STN years ago, kind of right when I was getting into portable ham radio. I like right after I got the 891, I'm like, I need to build a Go box because everyone back then was building the Go boxes. Now we just went to that Go box challenge or the Go kit challenge, which is really awesome. But like that was kind of the thing back in like, I don't know, what was it 2017, 2018, something like that.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And I bought one of those Apache cases from Harbor Freight, and I picked apart all the foam, and I had my 891 and the microphone, and I bought this Duracell AGM. It was like an 8 amp hour battery, heavier than I'll get out. And AGM batteries suck.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Because an 8 hour battery is really only 4 amp hours. I think it's false advertising, but you only get half of the capacity out of an AGM. So I had that for a while, and then the Headway 38120S cells. Hold please.
Holding. While he's doing that, if you have any questions, go ahead and put your question in the chat, and I will be asking them after we are done talking. Or if they come up good in conversation, I'll go ahead and do that now.
So these blue cells kind of hit the market, and they're pretty inexpensive. I think they're probably uh, maybe 15, $20 a piece. I forget.
Mm-hmm.
But these are each one of these cells is a 10 amp hour cell. So, but they're only 3.2 volts is the nominal voltage for a lithium iron phosphate cell. But when you put 4 of them in series, we get 13.4, 13.3-ish, whatever. So so I bought some of these, and Julian was doing build videos on exactly this kind of pack, and I'm like, I need this in my life because this weighs at least half the weight that AGM battery weighed.
Oh, of
And
course, because
with
it has
lithium
none
iron
of the
phosphate,
boxy and
yeah,
stuff.
there's no lead.
Okay, yeah, that
That's
too.
the inside of this is just it's a it's like an insulator, and I forget, but it's just it's basically like paper wrapped up with an electrolyte in here, and they're really really light. Lithium iron phosphate is a really stable chemistry, so you don't have to worry about, even if you puncture this. And I did a video where we destroyed a battery on the channel, and getting them to catch on fire is kind of hard. But they deliver an incredible amount of current, and you can pretty much discharge them, or you get 90 to 100%, if not more, the rated capacity for these batteries. So I used this. And this is the BMS, the battery management system here that balances all the cells.
Mm-hmm.
So I used this for at least a couple years, and just I had this in like a little Tupperware container, and then the wire here, I cut a hole so it stuck out of that, and I would just use this with the 891 while I was doing POTA for a while. And then I built a smaller battery box that I call Little Geek that's back there, and I just put this inside of it. It's just so I could have like more ports and a USB charger and that kind of thing, make it a little more versatile. So I used that in that configuration for a while, and then when I moved to Texas, I had one of those Miyati. Was it a Miyati? No, I had a 20 amp hour Bioenno. I might have made it with a Miyati first. I can't remember, but I had another battery, and I wanted to build a bigger box, but it wouldn't fit in that smaller ammo can that I use. So I found these I get at Harbor Freight, and it's the perfect size for. There's actually 30 amp hour batteries, and you can actually see that's the battery on the table there. It's a 30 amp hour Bioenno that I put in them now when I sell them. But I initially had a 20 amp hour. Then I had two Miatis, two 16 amp hours. I put those in parallel and put that inside of it. But then I got the 30 amp hour Bioenno. I'm like, yeah, this is
Nice.
what's up. So kind of around that same time that I was building this battery and watching Julian's channel, I also discovered Will Prowse, who's huge into batteries and teardown and solar and all that stuff. So it's really OH8STN and Will Prowse that kind of got me into batteries. But then in the same time, I'm talking with Dennis 8060M, also known as Adam Denko. So he and I were friends in a Slack group, the JerryNet. Rest in peace, Jerry, KG6HQD, inventor of the KG6HQD speaker wire antenna. So we kind of got into batteries and started nerding out on batteries for a while, and just being a portable ham radio operator, there aren't a lot of things. I mean, there's really nothing like this on the market. There's more expensive versions and there's cheaper versions, and they all have their features and benefits. But I just built this because, number one, I like to build stuff. Number two, I had all the parts. And number three, there just really wasn't anything on the market that did exactly what I wanted it to do. Mm-hmm. Hence that. So, what do they say? The mother of necessity is
mother
invention.
So, is necessity?
Something like that.
Yeah. So, we're close.
So now I have, so I've been using my box for a couple years. My box is a little bit different. It's somewhere. It's back in the corner there. We call that the prototype. So I've made a few minor improvements over the from my build to what I'm selling. Mm-hmm. In terms of just the power pole outlets, what I'm using for those. The original watt meter that I used was okay. This one's exponentially better. It just gives you a lot of information. I've gone through 3 different kinds of USB ports. Mm-hmm. Not necessarily because any of them were bad. It was just an upgrade each time. So this one has, and I'll show you in a minute, but this one has 3 USB plugs in there, 2 USB-C and 1 USB 3.0. Um, and it's solar generator, lights, everything. It's
Hmm.
got everything that I want to have in a box, and apparently
Why, while
so
I start to
do
pour myself this
18 other people.
amazing whiskey,
Oh God,
it's got a
why?
super chat. I'm gonna do it for some super chats
Oh
tonight.
man, so I drank some of that when I was at Frank's house 2 weeks
Hmm.
ago.
Hmm.
That is the most god awful,
Hmm. So my
horrendous
actions, you
stuff
could
in the
say,
world.
are genuine. Um, oh, just too sweet. I did have a good question. You were talking about the solar charger, the one that you have in your battery box now. Is it Biolino only chargers, or can you use different types of batteries on it?
Well, so this comes, and someone just asked in the chat, and I've gotten questions about this. I build this turnkey. I'm not custom building
It's
things for
for you,
people
man.
unless your name is Jason.
Hmm.
Um, I'm not shipping them without the batteries. I'm not because there's just
I'm sorry.
there's there's too many things to go wrong with someone installing their own battery, and then they'll
Hmm.
come back to me. I'm sorry. I've been in retail. I've been in customer service for too long. Um, and if somebody screws something up, who do you think they're going to blame? Are they going to blame themselves, or are they going to blame me? So no, it's so the charge controller's in there, the battery's in there, it's all wired up, everything. You just need to turn it on and start playing radio, and that's the goal. So
That's
I've had people overseas. Some guy asked me, he's like, "Can you sell it? Can you send me one without the battery, without the charge controller, and something else?" And
you're
I'm like,
you're right.
"No."
It's asking for trouble. Um, So you kind of the other point, I think you covered this, the evolution of your batteries. So you talked about how you get started to little geek to big geek, and then what'd you call Jason's mega
Mega
geek,
geek, yeah,
Megatron,
mega geek.
mega geek.
So his was Jason was a one off.
Yeah.
Um, because Jason has done so much for me personally and for you, and he just does a lot for a lot of people. Um, he had this 50 amp battery lying around, and he's like, "Man, I'd love to have a box." I'm like, "Dude, I'll make you a box." So I made him a box. Um, but that's special.
Hmm.
That was actually a lot easier to build than this because I didn't have to put the lights in it. And he didn't care about the lights.
The
The lights
lights
in
are
here take
amazing.
I know, but they take so long to wire because they're so small, and it's just I love every part of it. I love building things and creating, but if there was a least favorite part of this build, it's putting the lights in for sure.
Hmm. Okay. Can you give us a overview of what's all inside of these things?
That's a fantastic question, Frank. I'm glad you asked, and I just so happen to have this camera sitting right here to
Oh,
do exactly that.
it's like that. We planned this.
It's like I've done this before. So here is basically the meat and potatoes of the box. You've got first off, you've got your watt meter, yeah, which is just you push this little button and it turns it on and off. The great thing about this meter, there's a lot of great things, but if you unplug the battery from this, you don't lose the memory. That is hugely important to me. Some other meters, you unplug them and all your stuff is gone.
Hmm.
Um, but looking at the top here, you have the voltage. The batteries are really low when they ship, so that's why we're only seeing 13 volts. But you've got your voltage. You've got, if something were plugged into this, right now it says milliamps. If it's pulling more than, if it's pulling amps, it'll just switch to amps. So this will show you your real-time current draw. Down here, we see the watts that we're using. Here is the, what is that? The watt hours that we've used. This up here is the accumulated current. So I just hooked this. I hooked this up to a charger and make sure everything's running. That's why it shows 135 milliamps. And then if we were actually to have a load on this, we would see our internal and external resistance of the battery. And then this is just the total runtime on. So a lot of information you get from this box. And then there's a fuel gauge here too as well that kind of take it with a grain of salt. You really need to monitor the voltage a little bit, but or the amp hours rather. The total amount that you've consumed from the battery. I do set these. I think the high voltage I set at 13.2 and the low voltage I set at 10.7. But really, once your battery gets to like 12.8ish, you're kind of in that, like if this constantly stays at 12, if it's under a load, it'll drop below that. But
Mm-hmm.
if you're just sitting here and it's at like 12.8, your battery's pretty much dead, so you need to charge it. But monitor the amp hours and the voltage more than this meter here, but it's nice to have. So that's the meter. Then we have everything is on its own fuse. So this top yellow Anderson power pole, that is where you're going to plug your solar panel into. Now the switch for that is not this. I'll show you that switch in a minute, but this switch is only for this Anderson power pole. So if we turn this on, see, we get a little red light there. Now this power pole is powered up. This bottom one controls these two power poles. And again, their own dedicated circuits. And then over here, we have our USB, which I use a lot. So there's a switch for that. The thing actually has its own switch, so I don't really need this, but
Mm-hmm.
I like to wire it this way better. So we've got a quick charge 3.0 on the top, just your standard USB. And then we've got two USB PD outlets as well. So you can hook up to 3 things on there. I can power my my MacBook Pro with this. It's slow because these are only like 20 watts, but like when we were at Jason's house in Galveston over New Year's, I forgot my charger for my MacBook at home, and I was charging with this. So it will do it. It'll just do it slow. But wait, there's more. If we go over to the sides, we've got lights. So if your power goes out in an emergency, and I've got lights, they're ganged in twos, and they all have their own switches. You can have all 6 lights on if you want. You can have 2, or you can have 4, whatever.
I saw that video when you were in the bathroom and you turned all those lights on. It
Yeah.
lit up the entire bathroom. Maybe
Yeah.
I should use it here because my main light is out.
You could. Okay, so then on top, just a little bit. On top, there's just a little tray that opens for just little storage. So I keep
Adapters.
USB cables, adapters, my the charging cable for my Olight flashlight, just whatever fits in there. And then let me open this up here. I hear this is all the
Nice.
just all the instructions and stuff for the meter, for the charge control, my card, all that stuff. And let me see if I can lower this down here.
Oh, perfect.
So here we have our fuse box. This little plastic thing comes off, and so let's say one of your switches goes off, one of your fuses blows. So I just threw the light, and now you can see that the red light comes on if you have a blown fuse, so you know which fuse is blown. So I like that. So the charge controller, when I said this is your solar panel in, the charge controller itself, this is a Bioenno 20 amp charge controller. So you can hook roughly 400 watts of solar up to this, and you just flip that switch. That turns the charge controller on. You have to wire it that way because if the charge controller was just hardwired to the battery, it would stay on always, and it would just slowly drain your battery. So
I like that feature.
That's on a switch.
I like that.
And again, everything is on its own fused circuit. It's all 12 gauge silicone jacketed wire. I like this stuff a lot, and that's that. And then looking inside, kind of get a peek there.
Dude,
so
that's
I try and tidy it up. Thank you. I try and tidy it up as much as I can with zip ties on all the wires and stuff. Mine was not so much this way. And then here you can see the 30 amp battery. And I have this Velcroed down with some industrial Velcro. I actually did. I learned from doing, and a couple of these in the initial batch got damaged during shipping because the battery was flopping around inside. So I paid to ship them back, or I fixed them and replaced them. But now this ain't going anywhere. So good luck getting the battery out. It's not really designed to come out. You really shouldn't need to go in here at all. But that is really, this is when you open the lid, this is what you see. This is really all you should ever need to need to go in for.
Mm-hmm.
So that's that. And as far as runtime, I don't know
You don't know.
because
Well, it's
I've I've
all
never
dependent
ran
on
it
what you
out.
do with the battery,
So what
man.
I'll say, so like if I'm on like if chances are if I'm blowing up your ham alert and I'm running FT8, I'm probably sitting out on my porch playing FT8 with my 7300, and I'll bring my battery box out.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I mean, I'm usually out there for a couple few hours, enjoying a cigar or a libation or what have you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I'll usually get like 3 days of doing that before I have to recharge it.
Mm-hmm.
Like just doing a POTA, you're not going to run it down. And then if you augment, if you're camping out over the weekend or something, if you augment this with solar, I've got a couple 100-watt panels that I'll link together, so I'll get a couple 100 watts of solar into this, and it keeps it charged. I mean, I've used
Mm-hmm.
these for field days, winter field days. You've seen it,
Man,
and they
anywhere
don't.
you go, Mike, that comes with you,
Yeah,
especially any time that we're operating. Because
yeah,
you always had a geek with you, little geek and big
yeah,
geek, and now we got Megatron geek.
yeah. So Little Geek I use a lot for um, just charging
Mm-hmm.
things like my phone, because I use an iPhone to film my videos.
Mm-hmm.
So if the battery starts to run low, I'll use the Little Geek to charge that, or the $60 laptop or whatever. But actually, the other day I was out filming a video that'll be out on Wednesday, and I forgot to recharge the battery for my $60 laptop. So I had the radio plugged in, and I had the laptop plugged in because that charges off at 12 volts, and you're good to go. You can
Mm-hmm.
hook an inverter up to this. This will power a TV for several hours. I got a 55-inch TV in my living room, no problem. I use LED lights in my house, so you can hook up, some lights if your power goes out, whatever. But I built this for ham radio, but I also built this because when I first moved here, they fixed it a bit since I moved here. But literally any time it would rain, my power would go out,
Mm-hmm.
and it's always at night, of course. So,
Do you want to switch back to you full screen?
I don't think people care about looking at me, but um,
Jason thinks he's
you know,
first, by the way.
recharging. Hey, what's up, Jason? Recharging my laptops, and another thing, a lot of if your power goes out, a lot of routers, like your Wi-Fi routers,
Mm-hmm.
run off of 12 volts. So look at the voltage on the back of it and see, because you might could hook this up to your routers. I know when I was in Michigan, I had Comcast in that router. I don't know what my AT&T router is, because my power hasn't gone out since I got fiber. But even still, because the power's out, doesn't mean the cable's out. It's just your router doesn't have cable. So you could even hook an inverter up to this, turn your router back on, use your laptops, get online and watch movies, or do whatever you got to do until the power comes on. So it's not just a ham radio thing. It's kind
Mm-hmm.
of, I mean, for me, it's a life thing. So
Yeah, and it's just bring it with you. And the laptops we're putting power poles on. Josh is doing a great a expedition going out and finding all the 12-volt laptops that we can
mhm.
just clip, put power poles on there. And
Yep.
for somehow did you say you used an inverter for the TV, or do you?
Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah.
the inverter
Yeah.
works too.
I've got a little, hang on.
Yeah. While you look, Steve, KO4FAL, longtime supporter of the channel, one of my first Patreons. Thank you very much, sir. I appreciate it. This $2 shot is for you.
Let me go back here.
Ah! Go back there. Take the camera off of me. Why do I keep doing this? That was shot number 2.
Yeah. That stuff is like really sweet,
Uh-huh.
which I don't like to begin with. I don't like really sweet things.
Uh-huh.
And like, it's mango, isn't it? Like, I hate
Mango.
mangoes.
Mango. But then it
And
aerates a little and
you've
gets
got
in your
this
nose.
jalapeno. It's just a really bad whiskey. It's horrible.
All right.
So this is just a cheap Harbor Freight inverter that I have.
Yes.
And it's I don't know, it's probably 100 watt. That's a 200 watt inverter. So it's got a 12 volt DC in. So I just put some a wire with power poles on it, and you can plug it in. And now
That's
things that don't run off of 12 volt. I mean, it's horribly inefficient to
yeah.
convert from 12 volt to 120, of course, but it works.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I in the video that I made for this box, I show hooking it up to my TV. I had my TV on and like 5 LED lights in the lamp that I have in my living room. And you could I forget how much it was pulling, probably 6 or 7 amps. So you could run it for probably 4 or 5 hours in that configuration. Just and then so when I first moved to Texas, that February we had that big freeze where it had
Yep.
all the ice and snow and everything, and I brought Michigan with me.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, sir.
Used these boxes because the sun came out. It was kind of crappy for a day or two, but then the sun came out. I'm throwing solar panels out, recharging these things, and using them to charge all my devices and stuff. So that's what I did. What is he saying? Had to order a couple of parts, but got boxed today and battery fits. Well, there you go.
Yep. Awesome.
Well, that wasn't my box, Paul, was it?
We'll see.
Or no, that's not Paul. I don't know who that is.
That's Ham Radio Unleashed.
Yeah, I was thinking of Ham Radio Pen Pals.
A interesting question. I heard people talk about this on other videos here. What is the maintenance and storage of a lithium-ion battery? So if you want to take this box and you want to leave it for long-time storage because you're waiting for the one time your power goes out, how do we maintain the battery so it doesn't go bad?
They're pretty low maintenance. Bioenno recommends, I believe, if you're going to store them for long, if you're not going to use them for a few weeks and you're going to store them, to discharge them to like 50%.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's literally all in the instructions. Well, hang on. I never store mine that long, so I don't do that. Let's see here. So you get these are the instructions. This is just the piece of paper that you get when you buy a Bioenno battery. So let's see here. Maintenance and storage. The battery requires no manual maintenance due to included PCM-BMS, which is Protection Circuit Module / Battery Management System. For long-term storage, fully charge the battery, then discharge to 50% of the full capacity. Do not leave the battery unattended for more than 6 months. So check it every 6 months. For best life cycle, avoid using the battery in extreme temperatures. So that's out of the question in Texas. And avoid highly variable pulsing loads. But other than, lithium iron phosphate is just... and so Kevin from Bioenno, we talk on the phone sometimes. I've got his number. We're both from Michigan. He's from like, he grew up like 10 miles away from where I grew up in Michigan. I grew up in Farmington. He grew up in Bloomfield.
Salute, Brian. Thank you very much.
So like literally the next town over is where he's from. So we got that going for us. So Bioenno sells batteries. They supply our military with batteries. And contradictory to what Will Prowse says about cold, Kevin has Bioenno batteries in like permafrost areas for military installations and don't have any problems with their batteries. So as much as I would want to leave my boxes, and I actually did, I had this in a box for a long time and I left it in my car. I hate to do it in Texas because it's so freaking hot and I have a black car. But I've not had any issues with heat or cold at all. And as far as storage, I use them more often than I would need to discharge them for like long-term storage. But that's all you got to do is charge it up and then discharge it to half if you're just gonna not use it for a long time.
That's the expected long time. So if I want to keep it charged though, because My use case would be I have it in the corner and I am saving it for when the power goes out unexpectedly and I'm in the middle of the night. Then I roll over and flip on the battery for my CPAP machine.
Hmm.
Just keep it at 80%. Is that fine?
I mean, it really depends on how often you're actually using the battery.
I
But
unlike you, I my power outage is pretty secure unless I don't forget to replace the
I'll
light.
tell you,
But you never know. Go ahead.
I don't know what constitutes long-term storage, whether it's a week, a month. When I'm done, I charge them all.
Hmm.
I do have a few batteries in my closet that I did discharge, and some of my 3 amp hour batteries that are on top of my workbench I have discharged. But any of my like working batteries, so like Little Geek, Big Geek, when I'm done with them, if I do an activation, I just go back home and charge them up again, and it might be a week. It's probably not a week. It's probably a few days before I use them again the next time. So
Hmm.
I'm always using them.
From
I
Ham, go ahead.
I really don't foresee any issues. Lithium iron phosphate has such a they're very tough cells. They can take a beating. Their regular life cycle on average is about 2,000 cycles. So what that means is you fully discharge it and fully charge it 2,000 times. That's their life cycle. So for a ham radio operator, that's probably at least 10 years in all reality to how long these batteries are going to last. And in another 10 years, there's going to be a new technology that comes
Hmm.
across probably that's going to surpass lithium iron phosphate,
Hopefully,
or lithium iron
capacitors.
phosphate's
Hmm.
just going to keep getting cheaper and cheaper, and we just don't care.
I hope there's something around in 10 years. I don't think lithium ion is a great solution for big and heavy batteries, but that's something for another topic here. Um, Paul, or excuse me, Prep Ham Paul is asking, are there certain chargers that will keep a battery conditioned?
For lead acid, yes. Lithium iron phosphate, it's really all in the circuitry, the chips, the battery management system, also called a protection circuit module. Um, this is what is going to um, it's gonna monitor the cell's voltage and balance them when they're in series like this.
Hmm. Hmm.
As far as so like with lead acid batteries, they get what the heck is it? I forget what the term is because I don't use lead acid, but they can on the lead they'll start to develop, let's just call it a crust for lack of a better term. So there are maintenance chargers that will uh, kind of push a little bit higher voltage into those lead acid batteries to kind of decrustify the cells inside of it.
Hmm.
But lithium iron phosphate is not that way.
Okay.
You don't need to condition them. No, you just charge them. So they charge to, and here's kind of how you can prolong the life of cells as well. Some companies will advertise like sulfication. There it is, sulfur. Um, I charge my batteries to 14.6 volts, which is what they are typically going to charge to. If you only charge it to 14.4 volts, you're not completely filling the cells with charge. So that will tend to prolong the life to say like 3,000 cycles ish. And again, it depends on to some degree temperature and storage and all that kind of stuff. But
Hmm.
they're just they just I can't say enough. A lithium iron phosphate battery just takes a licking and keeps on ticking. So yeah, they don't. It's just a completely different chemistry in every single way. Like this isn't the same type of chemistry battery. So we say lithium. This is lithium iron phosphate, not to be confused with lipo or lithium polymer that are the the typical types of battery cells that you're going to find like in cell phones, laptops, those types of things. Completely different chemistry. Those batteries generally will have around like a 500 cycle life out of them. So that's why you're after like 2 years of owning a cell phone, your battery life really starts to degrade because we're just constantly using them and charging them. I mean, but one cycle again is a full discharge and a full charge. So if you only discharge your phone half and then charge it back up, well, that's only a half a cycle. But still, usually for me with iPhones, after about 2 years, the battery, you kind of, that's where you start to notice like, hey, my battery's not lasting as long as it did. So, and those batteries, those lithium polymer batteries, are very volatile. If you puncture them, it's going to start a fire almost immediately. And they also they puff up. They start gassing inside. They're just generally not the safest battery in the world to use. They're used a lot in the RC world. But again, like if you watch, I did a video.
Have a lot of
they have a lot higher energy density. Yes, they do.
And that's why they're used a lot.
Yeah, they're smaller. They're lightweight. But for what we're doing in the amateur radio world, lithium iron phosphate works so well because 4 of them in series gives us 13.2 volts. Our radios ideally want to see 13.8, but that's plus or minus 15% is usually what the manufacturer spec. So like 18650 cells, I would love to use their lithium polymer or lithium ion, but their nominal voltage is like 3.7 volts per cell. So they actually charge up to like 4.6 or something. So if you put 4 in series, you're going to be in like the 16.5 volt range. And if you only have 3, you'll be like 11.5 or so. So they're okay for like QRP radios that can handle lower voltage, like the KX3s, the 818 will handle those. They're ridiculously lightweight, but just again, because that chemistry doesn't lend itself so well to making these 13.2 volt or 13.8 volt packs, that's why we've kind of leaned towards, and a lead acid battery is only 12.8. So
Don says, and I believe he's a happy customer pushing this too. If you're going to buy a battery box, make sure it's made here, right here in Texas. Love the Big Geek.
Damn right. Yes, Don was one of the early adopters there.
Yes. And for that, he's going to get the final shot. Thank you, Don, for the super chat. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
So, yeah. It went in my nose.
I can taste that through the video.
I believe you answered my next point here, or question to ask you, expected lifetimes of the battery. And you said about 10 years.
Well, that's kind of an arbitrary number depending on, but if you figure 2,000 charge cycles, okay? Say you go out once a week and you actually use all 30 amps. So that's only 50 charge cycles. 52, excuse me, in 1 year. So then however many times 52 goes into 2,000, how many years is that? That's a lot. Here, we don't maths on live streams, so
I've been drinking. Figure that out. So 52 into 2,000.
Yeah.
See, I could cheat. I could pull up the calculator. 36.36 infinite. So 36 times.
No.
You said 2,000.
2,000 divided by 52.
2,000 by 52. I did 55. 38.
That's why we don't do maths on streams.
I was trying to be fancy here.
That's not. But so however many years that is. 40 years.
So what? Back when you're talking about stacking batteries, because you said each cell is like 3.3 ish. How do you stack them and get more amps out of them? Are you putting them in series to a point and then you put them in parallel so you get 12 volts, but now you could do 60 amps or 160 amps or etc.
So that's going to, so you have series and you have parallel.
Mm-hmm.
So uh, if I were to take these four cells,
So those four cells
the,
are stacked in series.
these are in series. So the negative of one connects to the positive of the next, or really
Mm-hmm.
the positive of one connects to the negative, and then the negative connects to the positive. Just like you would put batteries in a flashlight,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
how the little stub connects to the flat part, that's putting them in series. Except this, we're just using bus bars to link them. So if I wanted, so each one of these cells is a 10 amp hour cell at 3.2 volts is the nominal voltage. Okay. So if I wanted to make a 40 amp hour battery out of all of this, I would connect all of the positives together and all of the negatives together, and I would have a 40 amp hour battery, but it would only be at 3.2 volts.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Or by connecting them in series, we connect the positive to the negative, the negative to the positive, the positive to the negative. And now instead of upping the amp hours, we're upping the voltage. So
Mm-hmm.
you can have one or the other. You can't say I have four 10 amp hour batteries. I'm going to make a 40 amp 12 volt battery. If you put them in series, you're upping the voltage. If you put them in parallel, you're upping the amp hours.
But if you take that cell and then put that cell next to another cell that's like it, but you put those in series or parallel, then you're upping the amperage, but keeping the
Yes.
same voltage.
So if I had 8 of these cells, I would basically connect two positives to two negatives to two positives to two negatives,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and then you're doubling I would have a 20 amp hour battery then
Mm-hmm.
because of that. So you're basically doing series and parallel with double the amount of cells.
Mm-hmm. I was just I was listening to. I'm sad to admit, I went back and listened to Jason's. Oh my God, I said it. Live stream when you were
Mm-hmm.
on there to prep for this, and that's just a question came out of that because I don't think y'all covered that quite well. Y'all hinted about it. I was like, but how do you just maximize those amps? And you explained it. Put more cells in series,
How do
and
you maximize the
well,
amps?
how did you get more amps? So you on his stream you discussed about series and parallel, but I
Right.
didn't understand like well after we have that cell at 12, I understand how we upped it there. And how do we get more amps? But then we just double that cell and do another cell right by it that's exact copy of it, but put it in a parallel, and then that will just give us more amps down the road. Yes.
Yes, in a roundabout way.
Yes.
So everything that I just said,
Yeah.
yes.
Yes.
Get 8 of these cells. So you're wiring up uh you're basically doubling each one of these cells now.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And you'd have bus bars going across and over, if that makes sense. And you can't really see because I've got Kapton tape on here, but you
There
can
it is.
kind of see the bus bars going across the cells there. So you'd have to wire it a little bit, and they make square bus bars where these are rectangular. So you can. It would be easier for me to show you than to tell you because I don't have the parts to do that.
Oh no,
But basically
the
double
theory.
up on everything.
I I want to understand the theory. We don't have to give the example, but the theory I think is pretty. I understand it. Sully asked earlier in the stream, what's the maximum amps call that battery can cover? So how many amps can you pull
Huh?
from it? How many amps can you pull from your battery before the safety shuts off? It says no more.
So on the Bioenno, so just the battery itself. has a 30 amp max continuous discharge,
Mm-hmm.
and in that instructions thing gives you more of the specifications.
And TC Fitz, thank you for the super chat. I'm giving you a shot of water now because I don't need any more whiskey. That was 4.
Nah, you should just dump that garbage out. It is not good. Nobody should be drinking that. I can't imagine anyone enjoy. It's like Malort. Like nobody can
Oh,
enjoy that.
I no, don't not send me a Malort. I will not drink that for super chats. I tried that once and it was like drinking mouthwash with super high alcohol with something else. I can't remember the third flavor on my palate at that time. It was literally had me cringing and almost dropped to the ground. Uh,
It's gross.
Um,
It's very bad.
Prep Ham Paul, thank you very much for joining my members. I appreciate that. Question from Steve earlier in the chat: the tri-limbs that you made for the Buddy Stick Pro, are those going to be
Uh-huh.
back in stock soon?
They were.
They are or
No,
were?
they were.
Is
I
that like
had
Adam's mythical antennas that randomly get
I
back
mean,
in stock and then sell
you just
out?
gotta check the website every day. I had 18 of them that I put back in stock a few days ago, and they're gone.
Mm-hmm.
So I need to print some more parts. It's not the printing the parts; it's the getting the fiberglass parts because
Mm-hmm.
Home Depot, where I get them, takes their sweet time restock.
Really?
It took probably 3 weeks before I saw them in stock again.
How about just bulk ordering them online or going to wherever they get theirs distributed from?
That would make too much sense.
See, I'm helping you out already, Mike.
You're not the first person to suggest that. I got news for you.
Oh,
Uh,
well then. I'm still taking the credit. Yes.
do whatever you got to do.
Oh man, oh man. Here's another question that was from mine. After we were after you were showing the battery boxes a couple of times, can you explain what a shunt is? Because
It's a
that,
resistor.
but why don't they call it a resistor if it's a resistor?
Why is the sky blue? Why does the pastor got to have himself a fancy house? I don't know.
I can explain the sky blue. It's all about light refraction off of the atmosphere that the blue is sent down easier than all the other colors. Some of the other colors are absorbed. So I got the answer to that one, but I don't understand why do I need a shunt to measure what's happening in my circuitry?
I never said I was an electronics expert. My background's in sales. That is the shunt that is for the meter.
Yes.
So basically, what happens? All of the ground. So on one side, just connects directly to the ground of the battery.
Yes.
The other side, all the grounds from all your stuff connects to. And when the current flows through this is a resistor. And there's actually a little notch there so they can
What's the knots are just
make it
awkward.
right.
I don't understand.
That's so they can fine tune it, I guess. I don't know.
Okay.
But the resistance goes across here. There's actually 2 wires. There's a yellow and a blue wire that connect to these tiny little screws, and those connect to the meter. And by doing some kind of maths, it knows the resistance between this terminal and this terminal, and that's how it's able to tell you how much current you're using and all that stuff.
Okay.
There you go. Whatever he said.
Yeah, he's saying an electronics a shunt is a device that creates a low power path for electric
Low
current.
resistance path.
Low resistance for electronic current to
And
allow.
they're just little wires that come with it. That's but yeah.
Okay, that's
But I found the ones with so I used to use meters that had the shunt built in. It was the same size meter and everything. I didn't find them to be as accurate. So when I switched to these, I was like, whoa. It's a little bit more, it's a bit more work to drill the holes to mount these and wire everything to this, but it's worth it because you get better results. And I, being the battery nerd, want to know what's going on with my battery.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to be in the middle of a QSO and then be like, my radio just died. So
Yeah, no, I
it's just not
understand
enough
why
power.
you have all the stuff on there. It's just electronically. I was just confused about a
Yeah.
shunt because when I went through college through all my circuitry stuff, we didn't really talk about shunts. We went over capacitors and resistors and how to wire those up and batteries and all the other fun stuff. But shunts was not a thing. It was covered, so it was just new to me. And now my nose is itching. Jason, it's in my head now.
And
I'm
I
like,
see, I didn't even take electronics in college. So
it was a fun course. I did
I
enjoy it.
just read the diagram, and you connect all the blacks to the blacks and all the reds to the reds, and that's it. So
Let's say it one more time here. Where can we find your batteries and also the your buddy stick tri lamp if we
that's
want
a
to
great
go find
question.
it?
Let me share my screen here, and I will show you.
Yes.
My mouse will work properly. So we go to get out of here. We go to K8MRD.square.site, and we click this here Shop Now button, and then we can see the different products, as
Mm-hmm.
they would say in Canada, that I sell. So here's Big Geek here. We've got low stock. I've only got 2 left. But that's where you would go to purchase a Big Geek. Here's the Trilam. It's the thing that I make to hold up the counterpoise wire for the Buddy Stick Pro. Hopefully I'll get more of those soon. And then since I 3D print these parts, I figured why not sell these. If you just need like the power pole housing, I've printed a bunch of these off, so you can just buy these if you want to make your own
Oh,
battery
you're
box or
selling those
something.
by
Yeah,
themselves?
so they're $17 each. That's like $10 cheaper than what you get them for on Amazon for
Mm-hmm.
like the
Mm-hmm.
PowerWorks version, and that is shipped. $17 shipped. And hi Satan.
Ooh, kitty!
We, we ship to the continental
Put them on
United
camera.
States.
Then we'll get exponential more views.
Yes, we ship to the United States and Canada, and that's it.
Can you print those little lower resolution so you might not see the 3D print lines?
No,
Okay. There's an answer for you,
that's what you
gentlemen.
get. That's what you get.
I love it. And man, where can we find you for anything K8MRD related or anything else, man?
Go to YouTube and type in K8MRD and hit enter, and you will find me. The channel's called K8MRD Radio Stuff.
Everyone's saying they're loving Satan right now.
Yes,
Oh, pretty kitty.
he's got to get his chin scratches. He's like, oh crap, you're live. I need to make an appearance.
Thank you, Mike. I appreciate you coming on. I appreciate you explaining everything here. I'm hoping
It is
that we
my
can get the
privilege.
word out and get you a couple more sales on those battery boxes. 2 left,
Hey,
right?
only 2
Two,
more to go.
two more to
Yep,
go, and then you're
that's
gonna do run number 4,
it. This is run number 4.
or then run number 5.
Yeah,
Hey,
eventually.
man, success, success.
Yep, great success.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it,
No
and
sweat.
in the meantime, I am Frank. What is going on, gentlemen? I'm Frank KG5AHJ. I'm monitoring my mic level as I'm saying all this. I appreciate you swinging by and all my supporters out there. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Ham Prep Paul, thank you for joining my members. I appreciate that so much. And thank you to everyone who dropped me super chats. I hope you enjoyed my reactions to this beautiful, god awful whiskey. God, good they have it whiskey. I was worried for a second they had it bourbon, and I was like, they want the extra steps for a bourbon, but it's just a whiskey. Thank you to everyone who helped support this channel. I appreciate it. Everyone listening to the audio podcast. You just search Tank Radio and audio podcast form, and I think that I covered everything. Everyone out there, go forth and conquer. Say bye, Mike. I had you muted. Say bye, Mike.
Bye, Mike.
Awesome. 7-3, everyone.
Later. Ugh. Stuff's vile. Yeah. Oh, Shane posted his Go Kit challenge video 2 hours ago. Yeah.